So welcome to topic 9.5, which is branding, and this is the last topic that we will be covering in topic 9. The essential idea from the syllabus is that branding creates an identity for a certain product or company that makes it distinct from another and can also provide added value. So examples of identity is logos that are easily recognizable, such as the McDonald's golden arch or Apple's half-bitten Apple logo. So these are elements that creates that company's identity and help it distinguish from its competitors. So now let's look at nature of design. Branding really helps diffuse products into the marketplace and makes consumers more familiar with that particular company. And so it really does enhance that consumer loyalty and trust to a certain brand. And certain examples to enhance that brand identity is through advertisements and other promotions that we have covered in topic 9.4. And this helps establish the tone of message. So it's important to remember to be consistent with your identity and tone. So the way we're going to learn about this topic is first by introducing brand loyalty and looking at how this branding differs from market segments. And then we will learn about the importance of packaging in branding and brand identity and the difference between trademark and registered design. And after that, we will cover the positive and negative publicity on brand image, as well as evaluating the global impacts. So we don't necessarily follow the order, but we do cover all the concepts within the syllabus. Okay, so first of all, what is product branding? Well, product branding is a way that communicates to the customer the company's identity. And identity can refer to the mission, their mission statements, their core values, the reason why they provide these services. And so this helps relate concepts like quality, status, uniqueness, and desirability. And brand loyalty is exactly what it sounds like. It's when consumers become very committed to your brand, and so they make repeat purchases over time, regardless of convenience or price. So these are devoted consumers, and examples of this could be the Apple's lines for new product releases, and these people are able to stand in line because they are committed to the Apple brand. Okay, so now we're going to talk about different brands and different segments. If you remember, segmentation was basically a process like a funnel. You have the total market here, and this was a way to divide your total market into various categories depending on certain characteristics like age or gender or hobbies. And so you had various market segment categories. And what's important to remember is that different brand identities appeal to different market segments. So if you remember topic 7, user-centered design, you had this thing called ideal pleasure, and this is basically when products connect to ideals or our ethical and moral compasses. And so this really satisfies our values, and this could relate to certain environmental issues or political issues. And this can also be applied in branding. Certain people may value the price over its form, or certain people may think that eco-friendly products are the main important thing, or they might even value the form of the product. Either way, different brand identities appeal to different market segments. So due to increasing globalization, what many companies have done is that they have chosen to market their products to multiple segments. And so they choose to target more than one segment. So there are multiple strategies for multi-segment marketing. The first is to sell the same product based on universal appeal. Universal appeal basically means that it's a product that people from various countries or from various regions, from various incomes, or any other factors still want it and still want to buy it. The second is developing a range of product lines, and this is very similar to product versioning because product versioning Essentially, what you're doing is you're creating different versions to suit the needs of different types of people. And that's why companies create different product lines. So, for example, phones can have different colored, covers or other features or something like that. And the third is tweaking existing products to cater for multiple markets. So that's known as market development in the Ansough's matrix as well. Okay, so packaging is a visible differentiation method between a company's products from its competitors, and it's often used to enhance the brand identity. So a good example really is McDonald's because McDonald's is just so iconic, and you immediately understand that this is a McDonald's packaging because of its golden arch over here and just the red background everywhere, basically. So the combination of red and yellow really makes it stand out. So packaging is used for the consumer to easily identify your brand. Think of it as an ID card. And it can also encourage these impulse purchases. Is basically when you purchase things without really thinking about it consciously. It's just a habit and you just go for it. Okay, so now let's summarize the role of packaging. We need to think about four main keywords, which is communicating, protecting, preventing, and presenting. So it's basically C plus 3 P's. Okay, so the role of packaging first is to communicate the brand and its benefits. The second is to protect the product from damage, especially during shipment. The third is to prevent leakage of contents. So these two go together. These are more physical aspects, the physical benefits of using packaging. And the fourth is presenting government required warnings and information. So you often see certain ingredients or certain chemicals that have been added onto your products on the packaging. Okay, so now let's talk about the effects of branding. I know it may seem as though we are covering a lot of vocabulary, a lot of words, but memorizing these words really does make you more comfortable, and it makes it way easier to write, especially in your exams. And it just makes it sound more eloquent and professional. So words like memorability, these are good ways to score higher in your exams. So effects of branding is memorability. You easily remember products that have a prominent identity, a very strong identity. The second is that it is more likely to encourage loyalty and brand loyalty, as we talked about earlier. You also have that sense of familiarity if you are constantly exposed to a certain brand, which induces liking, and it can also lead you to recommend it even when you have no personal knowledge of the product or you've never used it before. If you're constantly exposed to a certain brand through ads or through other promotional methods, you are most likely to remember it and even encourage others to use it. The fourth is that it is a price determiner. So if you have a premium image, so examples like Louis Vuitton or Gucci, then you can easily charge higher prices. This can also go for Apple. People still purchase Apple products despite their costs. And the fifth is that it is beneficial for the company as it results in lower marketing costs. Okay, so now let's talk about the fourth section, which is trademark and registered design. So one of the most common examples to learn about this is using the Coca Cola bottle. And I will tell you now that trademark has something to do with the font of the logo and the way it's written, and the red background that it over here. Whereas the register design has to do more with the form of the shape, like that, because this glass shape is so easily recognizable worldwide. So now let's just think about what makes these two things different. Okay, so trademark and registered design are actually two methods of protecting your IP. And IP stands for intellectual property, and it's covered more in depth in topic 5.1, which is about innovations. So, trademark is any graphical sign, which this could be images, logos, any colors, that distinguishes the goods and services of one company from another. So, for example, the Coca Cola font is really recognizable, and the background, the red background, that contrasts with the white over here for the letters, is also something that distinguishes itself from another, and we are able to easily identify Coca Cola in any retail stores. Registered design instead protects the outward appearance of the product. So in the Coca Cola context, it's the form of it that we were talking about before. So as I said before, it protects IP, and what that means is that it protects investments and reputation. And also, it prevents others from copying your creative or innovative ideas, because that's basically brand theft. Okay, so now let's talk about the negative effects of publicity. Publicity refers to the attention that has been given to a certain company by the media. And so you can see that publicity has very detrimental effects on a company. Okay, so any examples of negative publicity really is, for example, the Nike child labor issue in its production chains. So no transparency in production chain, or exploitation of the workforce, and etc. Another example could be the sexual harassment scandal that occurred in Google, which led many employees worldwide to protest during their working hours. So, what are the effects of this negative publicity? Well, you have a loss of consumer trust. It also brings negative effects on sales. You have damaged brand equity. And brand equity is basically the perceived worth of a brand, the value that the customers think the brand has, and damaged brand associations. So, especially with numbers 3 and 4, when you have a damaged brand identity, this means that you cannot really charge premium prices anymore, as the perceived value and the worth of it has dropped very drastically. So it's important to consider corporate social responsibility at all costs. Okay, so now let's talk about positive publicity. Positive publicity does not always mean that a company has to keep on donating things to charities, or they have to develop new products to help other people. Of course, that is great, but positive publicity also refers to other things. So, for example, positive publicity can refer to new product releases, which can increase sales drastically, as people have been anticipating so much for this product. And for example, Apple is a really good example of good positive publicity, of maintaining that hype around its new products. And then you also have product revisions. For example, you could see your favorite YouTuber reviewing your products, and that means that it can encourage you to buy it. And product family information. And recently, I also read an article about Apple, and basically, they only let the good people, the heroes in movies, use their Apple products. You never see villains using their products, and so that again is a way of shaping our perception of the Apple brand, which makes us think that it's only for the good and the innovative and the creative people, rather than people that use this technology to do bad. So you could say that the essential idea here is that positive publicity can be achieved by planning and skillful use of the media, which is a very powerful platform in our age. And if you wanted to summarize what we said about the effects of positive publicity in a succinct manner, you can say that positive publicity is good for a brand in terms of consumer education and awareness. It's a good method to show off your features and why your products are better than those of the competitors, as well as being able to convert consumer interests into effective sales and switch brand loyalty. So currently there are many MNCs, multinationals, or other companies that are trying to branch out and expand into the international market. And this has a big effect on branding. Okay, so one good example of this is Japanese Kit Kats. And they have a whole range of flavors that you might not have in America. For example, strawberry or other like cheesecake, something like that. And so you can see that products are branded quite differently for different geographical markets because these modifications are made to really appeal to the local market consumer tastes. And what's important to remember really is that brand messages and advertising must be socially and culturally appropriate. For example, you could have differences in language, so you could have translation errors, or certain colors have certain significance in several cultures. So you also have to take into consideration these two things to convey the intended message and prevent your brand from being negatively portrayed. Okay, so this is an overview of the topics that we have learned that are relevant to 9.5, and I guess you could call it a table of contents. Thanks for watching.